You are now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. So when you went on this self-discovery journey and you actually asked yourself that question, which by the way I can really relate to, like, who am I really? Who did you find?
I think I'm still looking. For being honest. Just before we started recording, when you were like, okay, well, let me just check that, fact checking. I just said out loud, I was just thinking out loud, and I went, well, I wonder what incarnation of myself I'm going to be today. Because what I'm allowing myself to do now, and I'm giving myself permission, which I think is such an empowering thing to do. I'm giving myself permission to test and try and see what fits and see what looks right and what feels right to me. So I don't know. I think it's always going to be a journey, but what I've discovered is the less I stop caring about what other people are thinking about me, the happier I get. And I know that's like a cliche, and I know it sounds quite simple, but have you ever heard of a thing called spotlight syndrome?
No.
Oh my God, right. I'm gonna change your life.
Tell me more.
Right, so I discovered this, I think, maybe last year? Well, at some point, I discovered this. And spotlight syndrome is the theory that everybody walks around thinking that there's a massive spotlight shining on their head. So they constantly are concerned that everybody is like looking at them. When in reality, most people have spotlight syndrome. So they're far too busy worrying about what other people are thinking about them to even glance over at what you're doing. So in reality, nobody gives a fuck, and you should just do what you want to do. And I swore. So
don't worry.
7 minutes.
You're all good. Keep it going. Do you know what? It's one of those things where we're like, you actually asked, am I allowed to swear? And I was like, of course you are. Oh, but maybe just not in the first couple of minutes. And then she's like checking the clock. You've let it out now. Let's keep going.
It's happened now. The cat's out the bag. Yeah, so my whole point with that is like the second I stopped giving a flying fuck about what other people thought about me, and then I discovered what this spotlight syndrome was. And then I just massively did this whole reframe and this mindset shift of when I'm walking down the street and people are looking at me, I think a lot of people get a bit insecure and they think, oh God, have I got something on me? Like, why is that person staring at me? Whereas now I'll be walking down the street and someone looks at me and I'll smile and I'll nod at them and I'll make eye contact, and sometimes I'll smile back. Sometimes, more often than not, actually, they'll get really confused because people don't have that human connection anymore. But like yesterday, I was wearing this skin tight unitard that a brand had sent to me. And you wouldn't have caught me dead in something like that a few years ago because it shows too many curves, doesn't it? And I'm a size 16 to 18. I'm a curvy girl. I've got wobbly bits and I really like food. And I've got no shame around that. And it is hot this week as well. So I was just walking around Lewisham, like half naked. And this guy came out the window and he was like, hey, sexy mama. And I turned around and I was like, hello. And then I carried on walking. It's like, you know what? Like, fair enough. Some women don't like being catcalled or whatever. He wasn't trying to, I don't know. I liked it in the moment. Like, I'm not going to be ashamed to admit that I didn't feel endangered. I felt empowered in that moment. So the person that I've decided I want to be today is an empowered, confident, sexy motherfucker. So let's just keep that vibe going, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I love that though. But why can't we all feel that confident and empowered when we want to? I think that's the challenge, isn't it? Because so many of us keep listening to that voice inside our head saying, no, Chloe, you're not good enough to do that. Like, that's the reason this show took so many years to come out, because so many times we're just putting ourselves under the spotlight and assuming everyone's staring at us. And I love that. I'd never heard of that syndrome.
Spotlight syndrome. It's a thing. It's a thing. I wish I could coin it, but I think I saw it on Instagram. I was like,